Okay, in this final video for number one, we're going to solve the last part, and that is, what is its velocity at an elevation of 50 meters, and why are there two answers? Okay, we've already answered these. Now, in the previous part here, we got that the initial velocity, this 36.7, was really 36.652. And that's what I'm going to use. That's the unrounded version here. Okay? So now let's draw a little picture of this. We've got the ground here. The rocket goes up, right? Rocket goes down. Okay? And we know that it starts off with a velocity of 36.652 meters per second, and we have to use that. Okay? And then we know it goes all the way up to about 68.5 meters. Right, so that's 68.5 meters. And this question says, okay, at an elevation of 50 meters, what's its velocity? Right, what's its final velocity? Okay, so let's set that up. We have to do this separately from the ones where we solved at the top because this is a different time, right? So let's set this thing up. Let's go, whoop. Okay, so let's go x, vi, vf, a, and t. Okay, so we're going from the ground to 50 meters. Now, of course, we cross 50 meters twice. We cross it on the way up and on the way down. It seems like we ought to have two different answers, right? We have a positive final velocity and a negative, but I don't see how we can get two different answers. It seems like in math, there's only one answer, right? Well, let's see what happens. Okay. Okay, my x is going to be the 50 meters displacement. Now that's important because when it reaches here, sorry, when it reaches here the first time, it has only gone 50 meters distance. When it reaches here the second time, it's gone farther than 50 meters, right? But remember, distance is not displacement. Displacement is the net change in position from where you start to where you end. So if you go all the way up and then almost all the way to the ground, right? Your displacement when you're a meter above the ground is just 1 meter. You're a meter above the ground. These formulas are clever that way, right? So here's our displacement is just simply positive 50 meters, right? I know that our initial velocity is the 36.652 that we got in the previous part of the problem. I'm not using the rounded answer, right? And then we know the acceleration is negative 9.8, okay? To find the final velocity, I want to use something that doesn't have t in it, right? Because I don't have t. And that's all it's asking for is the final velocity, right? So I'm going to use this guy. I'm going to use vf squared equals vi squared plus 2ax. Okay, so vf squared is 36.652 squared plus 2 times negative 9.8 times 50. Alrighty. Now, oh, that's squared. There we go. Right? And now to get the answer, we've got to take the square root of a square. Right? Well, when you take the square root of a square, you don't know what the original number was. You don't know whether it was positive or negative. All you can say is that the absolute value of the final velocity is equal to the square root of this, right? 652 plus 2 times negative 9.8 times 50. Now this is how we're going to get two answers. We're going to get an equally valid positive answer and an equally valid negative answer. For example, negative 2 squared is 4. Positive 2 squared is 4. If you take the square root of 4, you don't know whether it was negative 2 or positive 2, right? This is a little known thing in math, right? You just sort of maybe glossed over that, right? Okay, so here we go. 36.652, I'm going to go square root, left parenthesis, right? I got to put a parenthesis around all this. Okay, and then I go 36.652 squared plus 2 times negative 9.8. Don't forget the negative. The negative is important. Okay, times 50. Right parenthesis, enter. I get 19.06. So the absolute value of the final velocity is 19.062, right, which is about 19.1. Now, what that means, what this absolute value means, is that the final velocity is positive 19.1 or negative 19.1. Now sometimes we look, and these are meters per second, sometimes we look at this and go, okay, the negative doesn't make sense. It has to be the positive. Okay? In this case though, since the question was vague, since it said at an elevation of 50 meters, and since we're there twice, both answers are significant, right? Here, this is positive 19.1 on the way up, right? And then on the way down, it's negative 19.1, right? Meters per second, okay? So here it's, the rocket is moving down, here the rocket is moving up. Yay? Little dogs? Arf. Arf.